up, I always hated the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? To me, that always felt like I was pigeonholing myself into some career for the rest of my life. So, after an amazing 4 years at USD, I went to work for one of the big four accounting firms. It wasn't until after the first busy season that it dawned on me that I hadn't really given much thought to why I was doing it or what I wanted to do in terms of my career. So this was a pretty scary, surreal, and daunting realization. To address that, I decided to go for a run to my favorite spot on Sunset Cliffs and sat there pondering life, looking out over the ocean. And it dawned on me that I was approaching this from the complete wrong angle. Rather than thinking about what I wanted to be when I grow up, I decided that I needed to focus on what my passions were and use those passions as the foundation to grow and direct my life. So once I began thinking in that context, three main passions emerged. One was my passion for my relationships with my family and friends. Two was my passion for the outdoors and nature. And three was craft beer. So this was back in 2008, when the craft beer revolution had just started to take hold in San Diego. At that time, I reached out to a fellow USD alum, Casey Mahoney, and he was working at the Ballast Point Home Brew Mart at the time. He showed me how to brew my first batch of all-grain beer, which I've continued to do to this day. I also got as many books on home brewing and how to start your own brewery, and read all of them. But at that point in my life, I had enough savings to cover rent for maybe a month or so. So needless to say, there was no way I was going to fund the opening of my own brewery. And since I didn't have any tangible working experience in a brewery, there's no way a bank was going to give me a loan either. So I decided to continue along accounting and get my CPA license and really build my expertise in accounting. But I still made sure that I kept my passion with me, even when it was evident in my opening interview with my current firm, BAcc, when I told them about my craft beer passion and that I eventually wanted to open up my own brewery one of these days. So a couple of years into working there, my firm decided that they wanted to encourage all employees to work on their networking and business development efforts. And I don't know if you guys know this about us accountants, but usually we become accountants because we like numbers and we're not very sociable creatures. So going to a networking event was extremely scary and daunting. I had no idea what I was doing, trying to talk to strangers and giving them some preconceived elevator speech. So it got me thinking, how can I incorporate my passions into my business development efforts? So then it dawned on me, I had this epiphany that would change everything. And that epiphany was that I should just self-proclaim myself the craft beer CPA. And at first, I was like, Bryan, am I allowed to do something like that? But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that the only thing that was holding me back was me. So from that day forth, I self-proclaimed myself the craft beer CPA. I met with my friend and fellow USD alum, Darren Goldberg, and he was kind enough to help draft this logo that was consistent with my firm's branding colors. I got the Twitter and Instagram craft beer CPA handle, as well as updated my LinkedIn to kind of go with this branding. So looking back, it's been pretty amazing what this self-proclamation has helped me accomplish. My firm was amazing enough to support me to attend SDSU's Certificate in the Business of Craft Beer program. Now, never in a million years did I think my accounting firm would support me to go and learn about craft beer and be able to drink it. That was pretty great. I also was elected in 2016 to be treasurer of the San Diego Brewers Guild. And this is the largest guild in the US, and that's probably been my most satisfying accomplishment to date, because it really gives me the opportunity to have a leadership role within the craft beer community. In addition, this last December, I was lucky enough to be featured on the AICPA's cover of the Journal of Accountancy. So I know during this speech I've talked a lot about my craft beer passion, haven't talked too much about my other passions. So I want to take a little moment to kind of touch on those and how I've integrated those into my life as well. So one, I've always made an effort to leave my work at work. And that's really important to me because afterwards I can really focus on my relationships with my family, friends, girlfriend, and just get out in nature and enjoy myself. I always try to plan one new adventure every single month. And that gives me something to look forward to, especially during the more strenuous times of my work career, like my busy season right now. And three, I've taken the love of outdoors, water sports, and hammocks, and with a childhood friend of mine, we have created a frame that holds 5 people in hammocks. And it's not only freestanding, but it can attach to stand-up paddleboards, whitewater rafts, and kayaks. We call this invention the Hammockcraft. And I can't help but give myself a shameless plug here and tell you guys to go check out hammockcraft.com, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And on April 18th, we're going to attempt to launch a Kickstarter to help further grow this endeavor. So, in conclusion, I know that I'll never be able to answer that age-old question of what I want to do with my life. And you know what I've realized is that's okay. So rather than answering that question, I propose 2 questions to you guys. And that are, what are your passions in life? And what can you do to embrace and incorporate those passions in your life and goals for the future? Thank you.